Hello, and welcome to The Explainer.
All right, so OpenAI has just dropped its most anticipated model yet, GPT-5. You've probably seen the hype. It's been massive. But the big question is, right, does the reality actually match up? Today we're going to cut through all that noise and see what's really new.
And look, the expectations are being set incredibly high, and that's coming right from the top. We're talking about OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman, who's basically saying the leap is like going from a smart college kid to having a legitimate PhD-level expert in your pocket, ready to go on any topic. Wow.
So a PhD in your pocket, what does that actually mean? What's it capable of? Let's unpack the biggest promises that OpenAI made at the launch.
Okay, so the core promise here, it's a huge leap in intelligence. Think about it. Previous models were, really good at just finding information. GPT-5, though, is being framed as something totally different. We're talking about a model that can do deep, expert-level reasoning. So it's not just about having a bigger library of facts, it's about having a much better brain.
Another key change is how you actually use it. It's way simpler now. Remember how you used to have to pick between different versions? Well, that's gone. Now it's just one unified GPT-5, and it automatically decides when it needs to think harder for those really complex questions. The whole idea is to get you the best possible answer without you having to, manage the whole process.
Okay, so that's the hype. That's the official story. But what happens when it gets out into the wild? When independent creators and reviewers get their hands on it and really put it through its paces? Let's see how it actually holds up.
Right off the bat, the first thing everyone notices is speed. Across the board, for just your everyday questions, reviewers are saying GPT-5 is a solid 30 to 50% faster. That's a really noticeable improvement for those quick, simple things you ask it to do.
But here's where it gets interesting. When you look at creativity, the results are, well, they're kind of mixed. On the one hand, the writing, the pure text, it feels more human. It's got better rhythm, better nuance. But then, on the other hand, the image generation seems to have taken a step back. Reviewers found it was actually putting out worse, less effortful images for things like YouTube thumbnails. Kind of strange, right?
And that brings us to the elephant in the room. Despite all the talk about improved factuality, the biggest problem with these models is still there. As Mr. Who's the Boss puts it, hallucination, this tendency to just make stuff up, is still a very real issue.
And it's not a small thing. For example, one reviewer asked it to find tech products made by food brands, and GPT-5 just confidently invented Oreo smart speakers. It presents these total fabrications with the same authority as real facts. And that right there is the core trust issue we're still grappling with.
So if you put it all together, you get this really complex picture. You can see it's amazing at coding, gets a great score for speed, and reasoning is pretty good. But then, writing is just okay, and factual accuracy is, well, not great. It's a super powerful tool for sure, but you absolutely cannot trust it blindly.
Okay, but there is one area where everyone agrees GPT-5 isn't just a small step forward. No, it's a genuine, total game changer. And that area is coding.
And you can see why. As commentator Matt Wolf points out, it seems the big AI companies have realized that coding is, well, it's the killer use case. If the AI can't answer your question directly, it can just write the code to build a tool that can solve your problem. It's a massive unlock.
And the demos were just stunning. People were giving it a single prompt, and it was building these complex, interactive, and honestly beautiful applications. We're talking a full version of Tetris with scores and levels, a playable Pokemon chess game, and even a whole 3D castle with guards and a minigame inside. The leap here is just, it's absolutely undeniable.
And this isn't just smoke and mirrors with flashy demos either. The numbers really back this up. It scored a 74.9% on something called SWE Bench. And this isn't some easy test. It's a benchmark that throws real-world software engineering problems at it. That score is a new state-of-the-art.
And when you look at the competition, this score puts GPT-5 right at the top of the food chain. It just barely edges out its biggest rival, Anthropic's Claude, and it leaves its own predecessor, GPT-4 in the dust. So as of right now, it is, without a doubt, the #1 coding AI out there. All right, so let's zoom out and bring this all together. Hype versus reality. How should we actually feel about GPT-5? And what does this all mean for what's next?
You know, it's interesting. Despite those incredible coding skills, some of the folks who follow AI really closely, like Matt Wolf, were, well, a little bit underwhelmed. They felt that the leap from 3.5 to 4 was this massive, mind-blowing moment. This time, it felt more like pretty good improvements, but not that huge, paradigm-shifting leap.
And that feeling, that sense of, is that it, seems to come from what was missing. A lot of people were hoping for deeper features, right? Like having Sora's video generation built right in, or having truly long-term memory that remembers past conversations, or even seeing those agent capabilities fully integrated. None of that was really in this launch.
And here's a really important piece of context. Just days before this big launch, OpenAI did something really strategic. They released these powerful open-source models, GPT-OSS, for free, for anyone to use. Basically, they made last year's model a free commodity, which clears the way for GPT-5 to be the new premium, top-tier product.
So what does this all mean for you? Well, it really depends on who you are and what you do. If you're a developer, it's a revolution, period. The best coding assistant on the market. For businesses, it's like having that PhD expert for analyzing data. For free users, you now get access to this thinking model for the first time, which is a huge deal. But if you're, say, a creative writer, it's a nice upgrade, but probably not the groundbreaking leap you were hoping for.
So in the end, the real test for GPT-5 isn't going to be about benchmarks or cool demos. The real test is what happens now. With this new standard for coding AI now free and in everyone's hands, what will you create? The true revolution might not be the model itself, but what millions of people are about to build with it.